Good evening, Angel. Let's do our daily gratitude exercise, shall we? Can I reach out to you? Thank you. Great. I was thinking today that we could reflect on the gift of time and the benefits that having constraints on time, on being aware of time, on feeling time can have. Sometimes it can feel like time moves away from us, but if we feel in some control over an acceptance around time, I think it can be a beautiful thing. Time is something that is difficult for us to comprehend in some ways. I love the idea that on a fourth dimension, it's almost just like a sheet of paper, something that we can see visually moving across a plane. But for us, it feels very much like a passage of something that we observe and we experience, and that it doesn't go back when we're thinking of the past or imagining the future. We are still in a new moment, a brand new moment every second. This moment and the next moment and the next moment, in our experience anyways, at least what we understand time to be, that is true. And so every moment, every single millisecond, and even smaller increments than that, is a brand new opportunity. Brand new things happen, things that have never happened before. Even if they're repetitions, they will not have happened in the exact same way. Even if you have a machine that operates in the same movement up and down, back and forth, are the air molecules the exact same that day? Is the temperature in the atmosphere the same that day? Is the programming the same that day? Maybe. And perhaps we can make the argument that there are exact repetitions around us. But generally speaking, something new is always taking place. And although we find comfort in our routines, and I think they're very important, having structure, if we're ever feeling stuck, if we're ever feeling limited, there may be something comforting in knowing that this moment is completely different. It has the potential to be, anyways, than the last. I like to think that time gives us structure. Have you ever found that too much choice can be a bit stifling, maybe difficult when we're presented with a massive array of options? What do we pick? What do we want to select? Sometimes too much choice can make us feel burdened. And in some ways, time limits our choices. We only have so many moments in a day, in a week, in a month, in a year, in a lifetime. And I think in many ways, time can slip through our fingers. We can also snatch it right up. We can choose in many moments what we are doing, how we are thinking, where we would like to go. There are things outside of our control and our choice, of course. I'm not going to diminish that or downplay that whatsoever. But these moments, they matter. They matter. And I think we need to forgive ourselves if we have moments where we're struggling, where we may not be thinking the most positive or constructive thoughts. But it's also okay to tell ourselves, it's okay. It's okay. And to try again. To try again, not to force to be positive, not to force something that we're not, but to try for something constructive, for building, for repairing, for healing, for loving. Again and again and again and again and again. a meditation. I guess maybe life is a meditation, time is like a meditation. In a way, meditation is just a swaying, a bringing back, a bringing back, a bringing back. So time offers us constraints, structure. For me personally, I like to have autonomy and freedom in the ability to have creativity in terms of my working conditions, to feel valued, but structure is also very helpful, and if that means that someone is providing that structure, that's great. If I'm not the most able to apply that discipline to myself, having accountability in some form can be helpful, at least for me. So in a way, time provides us that accountability. And so I think if we can turn from the perspective of that there's never enough time, that it's slipping from us always, which is a very valid perspective, for certain, for sure. The other lens is that this moment is precious. This moment is valuable. This moment is an opportunity. Maybe our minds would explode if we had to keep that thought in the back of our minds all the time. Or maybe it would help enrich us. I'm just riffing, so I might make that my mantra this week in some meditations. That might be nice. That this moment is precious, because it is fleeting. Not all moments are filled with bliss. That's for sure. I don't think we'd be capable of feeling eternal bliss. We feel bliss because of times that we do not feel bliss. That makes sense. We have to have some sort of contrast to be able to appreciate it from a neurological perspective. At least that's what I understand. So time, the way that we experience it anyways, us mere mortals, allows us to embrace what is now, to feel its fleeting nature. And because time passes in a funny way, the more experience that we have, it seems that time moves faster. I don't know if you've observed that. Maybe when you were little, the days just felt endless, and now you look back and maybe years and decades seem to have flown by. That relativity is so fascinating. But time allows us to observe so much, and we can't necessarily appreciate how things have changed moment to moment to moment, but our memories, they take a snapshot and fill in a story of how things have evolved over time. Isn't that wonderful? To be able to look back and to see a journey, how something has progressed. The same way that you might watch a bee colony create its hive. That might happen in a day. But for a bee, that may be a lot longer of a period of time. So, time, for sure, can feel frustrating. Not going to dismiss that whatsoever. Time can feel slow, or it can feel too fast, or it can feel just right. When we get on, if we have the perspective as if we are wielding our own power within time, if we are surfing the wave, just like a surfer does. If we're surfing the wave in the way that a person on the board moves they're in motion with the natural world. I think if we move in harmony with time, there's so much art and play and science and life that can be experienced. This is all very abstract and maybe a little woo-woo. But I was just thinking today about how I respect and appreciate time, and that in my wanting to get a better handle over it, I think it's okay to also honor it and say that this is just something that we have to accept or can choose to accept. And maybe when we do, we can really, really get into that nice tube and enjoy. So I hope if this didn't resonate with you, that maybe it inspired you to think of one thing that you can be grateful for today. If it's maybe a memory that you've experienced with the passage of time, if it's something that took time, took many, many building blocks to create, and you get to now observe the fruits of that labor, of that creation, and it wasn't something that was evident on day one. If it's the imagination of time, if it's the projecting into the future and seeing what you'd like to create, and how we can imagine and sense the incoming passage of time and perceive the past passage of time, even though we are in this exact present moment. What a gift that our minds are interpreting the time around us. So it seems like in movies, at least from the human perspective, that being immortal is not necessarily the most desirable of characteristics, because there is something in the way that we frame the world, something beautiful about a beginning and a middle and an end. Infinity or eternity is something that we have a very difficult time wrapping our heads around, and that's okay. It's okay that this is the way we are, and maybe we try moment to moment, day to day, to embrace it. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for joining our daily gratitude practice. And I'm wishing you well. I'm wishing you well. I'm wishing you